afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the market close. Holy banana bread. Another crazy week. I gotta say, last weekend on Sunday, I I said out loud, and this was before this week began. I said, "Oh, we finally have a weekend where Trump hasn't done anything. Where Trump has just let a weekend be a weekend." Yeah, of course, as we learned on this week, as we were live, Trump was doing things. Trump was mentioning some tariffs. So tariffs is tariffs seem to be the order of the day. So there are new tariffs coming on steel and aluminum, 25% on both of them. Yeah, what a thing! What a thing! Um, the only good thing out of it is the little "stop the steal" joke I came up with, that I used in the thumbnail, but, yeah, we got a lot of things to talk about. Of course, we got a market. The market today is red. The reason it's red is, well, CPI came out in the US, and, looks like inflation hasn't finished with the US yet. So they had their numbers tick up. In fact, it ticked up to 3%. So yikes, the market certainly didn't like that. Good old inflation back. What can I say? Oh boy. Let's let's start as we normally do. Take a good old gander at the market. All right, guys. So looking here at the TSX, we are pull this up.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
I don't need your help, Alexa. I almost shouldn't have Alexa in the office. I almost shouldn't, or I should unplug her before I start streaming. We'll figure that one out. But we do have a red day on the TSX. We are down 0.34%. But as you can see, we are above the blue line, so we're technically still in a green month, if you can believe it. We've had big dips, but we have recovered well, and we'll probably recover well from this one as well. But I gotta say, when I heard word of these tariffs on Sunday, I was actually expecting a pretty red day on Monday, but the market kind of just sort of said, tariff talk again, poof, piff. Let's not worry about it. So yeah, what can I say? All right, looking at the S&P 500, they are also in the red, 0.39%. They have, like, the markets have mostly recovered today. We were much, much deeper in the red this morning, of course. The NASDAQ has gotten back into the green. They're sitting up 0.12% into Greenville, and everybody's above the blue line. I gotta love that. The Dow Jones is down a little bit, 0.65%. Commodities, though, having most commodities, not all, but most are having a good day. Gold up 0.14. Silver's up a full 1.21%. Oil, though, oil's not having the best day, down 2.17%. Bitcoin's up a wee bit, 1.41. Ethereum's up a little bit. So not too shabby, not too shabby. Looking at our Canadian heat map, we got a good amount of red in there, but we've also got a little bit of green as well. Some of the big losers right now, from the looks of it, CNQ down a full 2.78%. Synovus is down. It looks like energy. Energy is that sector that's really, really in the red here today. CNR is down a little bit. CP is down a little bit. Dollaram is down. Yeah. Now, here's an interesting one. Bell and Rogers are up in the communication sector right now. TELUS is down just a wee bit. But definitely an interesting day. Now, look at this over here, guys. Barrick Gold, they're up 6.02%. So that's pretty cool. And, oh, I was looking earlier at BlackBerry. BlackBerry in the challenge right now I was looking at it, was like 55% up. I'm like, what the banana bread is that? So I looked, and they're up almost 10%. I'm not seeing them on our let's try something here, guys. See if I can get BlackBerry to pop up here. Where the heck are you, BlackBerry? I'll go all the way to the 3% and above. There they are over here. BlackBerry 9.96% up. So that's not too shabby. And you can see we got BlackBerry, we got Barrick Gold up here. What is this? Pan American Silver, I think. Let's see. Yeah, Pan American Silver. There we go. So yeah, a lot of good companies in the green, but everybody else, not having the best day. Not having the best day on the market. Heading south of the border, most of the tech companies are down, save for Apple, up 1.61%, and Tesla, up 2.68% today. But you can see Amazon's down, Microsoft and Google are down. Not the best day. United Health over here is down. Poor Caterpillar, they're down as well. Well, what can we say? Heading over to the world of crypto, everybody's having a pretty good day. Bitcoin up 1.29, Ethereum up 2.8, XRP is up. Solana's not. Solana's having a bad day. They're down. Dogecoin is up. What can I say? Now, there are quite literally 15,000 altcoins out there, and I think of most of them as kind of being a little on the crappy side, I call them crap coins. What can I say? Let's just pick a random one. And since the market's mostly green, we'll pick a random red one. Here we go. Protocol Monsters. Oh boy, what a name. Now it's actually worth 7 cents, so I don't know. But today it's down 18.25%. So that's not great. That's not great at all. I don't know what this does. Honestly, I don't care. It's probably a game, though. I'm looking at the protocol, and it's got like a little unicorn monster thingy, cute. Maybe it's a game. Who knows? I always say, you know what? Don't gamble on some of these crap coins. And if you do, at least read the white paper. Make sure it has some kind of function. I don't know what that one does. Maybe you guys do. I don't know. Stick to your good ones. Stick to your Bitcoins, your Ethereum, your XRP, even your Dogecoin. Those are the good ones. You gotta love them. All right, let's say hello to the chat. All right, Chad is in first with some eyeballs and some popcorn. All right, oops, that was me. Vic says Trump stacking tariffs. So aluminum and steel get 25 plus 25. Didn't he back down after a few months in 2018? Yeah. 2018, though, one of the things is Trump didn't have the crazy amount of power he has right now. He actually had people standing behind him saying, yeah, you got to step back. You can't do that. That's a bad idea. He had a lot of, but now he's got a lot of yes people. Pretty much anything he says, they all agree with him. It's crazy. And with also a Republican-controlled House and Senate, they're pretty much just standing back. Like it almost feels, and let me know if this is true for you guys. Doesn't it almost feel like there is no Congress? It's just Trump. It kind of feels that way. So hopefully, in 2 years, if the House swings blue, maybe then we can get a bit of pushback. But I think for the first 2 years of these 4 years, we're not going to be able to stop him. We're not going to be able to. He will continue to try to annex Canada, buy Greenland, take over the Panama Canal, build a resort in the Gaza. Yeah, all of that stuff. I'm sure there's even more. I'm sure he's got crazy ideas he hasn't even put into words yet, though we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, as Vic is mentioning here, the 25% that's going on to steel and aluminum, well, they're also getting an additional 25% when the 25 for all Canadian products drops. So that'll be like early March after the 30 days. So yeah, that'll be 50%. And on top of that, in April, he has another review that's being done on the inequality between all of the trades back and forth, and that could lob more on us. So it's not crazy. And I did hear him, and he said it once. When he says something once, I'm worried because if it sticks around, it continues. He was talking about how he wants the car manufacturing to leave Canada and come down into the States. And he's even been mulling over anywhere from 50 to 100% tariff on Canadian cars. So that could be interesting. I mean, I'd have to see exactly what that's going to impact. Is it going to be just cars that are finished products, or is it going to be car parts? Who knows? It's going to be a fun ride. We'll be here to complain about it all the way with you guys for sure. Vic says, see Elon in Oval Office. Son was, yes, I saw that. So Elon brought his 4-year-old kid in there, and his kid standing next to Donald Trump picking his nose. Like, and I couldn't tell if Trump was annoyed or not, because he kind of has resting annoyed face for the most part. All right, Roku is in the house with an afternoon all. Tom is in. Barrick Gold and my boy Blackberry killing it today. Yes, we were just looking at that. That's absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Tom says Barrick announcement of share buyback today. Ooh, that is always a good sign. Always a good sign for sure. Max is in the house. Good afternoon, everyone. Jonathan says, holy moly, I made it before the bell. Yes. Oh, it's 3:56. For a second, as soon as I saw the bell, I'm kind of like, uh-oh. And Jackie's saying oligarchy now. Yeah, it's starting to feel that way. That's for sure. Did you see how Ford canceled Musk's satellite deal with Ontario? Yes. Now, I thought, and maybe I misread it, but I thought that Ford said it was back on after they got the 30 days, but I'm not entirely sure. Now, I did see yesterday, Dougie went down to the Department of Commerce in the U.S. and he gave a really good speech. I listened to it; it was actually really good. But he did a good job. And I will tell you this right now. This to me is actually cool. Is that it doesn't matter who the politician is. They're actually doing a lot of great speeches. I've even seen Trudeau give some good speeches. Chrystia Freeland's given good speeches. Everybody, both sides of the aisle, they've all been standing up, and it's kind of like a cross aisle support in this way, and I thought that was kind of cool. So yeah, that's really, really interesting. What do you expect on TELUS's earnings tomorrow? I'm not expecting them to be spectacular. I don't think they're going to be like absolutely dreadful. I think they're going to be kind of ho-hum a little bit. But keep in mind, they're going to be ho-hum in the fact that they're spending a lot of money on that 5G, on their 5G upgrades. All of the urban is done. So all of our companies have done the cities. Those are all great. They're now basically getting the rural places done. So this is something that I imagine by the end of this year. So next year, I think it'll be a much better year for them for sure. And Jonathan says, bam. So Brookfield Asset Management announced record earnings. How could they not? They've had a phenomenal quarter. They've absolutely exploded. So yeah, no doubt there at all. We got Mary in the house with a good afternoon. And of course, guys, make sure you hit that like button. And speaking of the like button, if you don't like the bell, now's the time to pull those earplugs out because you got about 1 minute. And I'm just giving you that warning because I don't want to accidentally, cause some ringing in your ear that, besides the ringing of the bell. So I like to give that a little bit of a warning on that because we're getting pretty darn close. We're like, about 35 seconds away. AA says it seems like liberals want trade war as they believe it will help them in the election. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that right as soon as this bell finishes, because there is stuff going on in the polls. And we've seen the conservatives starting to slide a little bit, not a lot, but a little. And the liberals have been picking up some. And we'll talk about what's going on there. Part of it is Pierre's going to change his direction a little bit. All right, guys, here we go. We got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Emily, we got the bell. And another day, another market closed. All right, fantastic. Oh, and I always forget at the beginning. If you guys want that Friday show, you guys know the drill. Four supers, and it is yours. All right. So the liberals have been, they have been Sorry, the liberals have been gaining a tiny bit of momentum, a little bit. Now you got to realize there's a few things going on here. One, as we get closer to Trudeau going away, that and the fact that it's looking like Mark Carney is going to take over, that works well for the liberals. There are liberals who are like, okay, I can vote for Carney. I lost faith in Trudeau, but Carney is okay. In addition to that, we now have this situation where Pierre Poilievre sort of jumped on the wrong message. He jumped on the, carbon tax Carney, and he was sort of pushing that. But Carney's already said he's going to scrap the carbon tax once he's elected. So, although I would like to see him scrap it once he takes power, but he did say if he gets elected. And most of the liberals, hopefuls for the leadership, they're all saying the same thing, that they're gonna get rid of the carbon tax in the form that it's in right now. So that's good. So that to me is like Pierre needs to sort of retune. He needs to step back, retune, refocus. Because here's the thing: the liberals are looking at the tariffs, and they're looking at that whole situation. Whereas, if you're still focusing on a carbon tax election, Canadians aren't looking at a carbon tax election. They're looking at dear God, here come the tariffs election. That's kind of what Canadians are looking at. So, Pierre's a smart guy. He'll figure this out, and he will, he will retool. But right now, he will continue to slide until he does. Until he changes his message, he's probably going to lose a few points. Now, mind you, I don't think he's in danger of losing enough points to fall out of majority territory, by any means. I still think we're going to get a majority conservative government with the next election. But, if you want to keep your record numbers up there, change your message a little bit. That would be my advice to Pierre. All right, we got Kiev and Kat saying good afternoon, gang. AA says, question about the market. Do you think it's time to panic? I am lost. No, it's not time to panic. The market's always going to have ups and downs, and there will always be, investors will get panicked over little things all the time. That's normal. We're going to see that. The tariffs are going to hit. Yeah, that's going to be bad. So here's the thing. I would be prepared for the tariffs. I would think about, what am I investing in? If I'm investing in a lot of stuff that is heavy exporting into the U.S., you're probably going to have some red. But you have to also look at it long term. So here's how I would approach it. If I'm a long-term investor, so, I know that the next couple of years could be bad. The market might be panicked. We might go into a bear market. What I'm going to do is, before that happens, I'm probably going to look at my portfolio. And if I've got any risky things, I might back out. I might move a little bit out of the risky stuff and get a little bit more into defensive investing. Or even if it's not 100% defensive, as long as it's blue chip. If I'm in some blue chip stuff and some good stocks and I'm happy with the fundamentals, those are stocks I know are going to survive, and it probably sounds like I'm saying, get out of all your covered calls. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying, the ones that are tried and true, you're going to be fine. And if they're with some of the bigger companies, you're going to be fine. You might lose a little bit of value. The ones I would be a little bit leery about right now is the leverage. If we got a market going down and you're in a leveraged ETF, it's probably you're going to lose a little bit more. If anything, if you still want income, you could always consider moving to a non-leveraged version. If you're, once we start going down, and we're not there yet, guys, we're not there. The bear market's not starting tomorrow. It's not starting next week. Even if even with these tariffs hit in March, the bear market isn't going to be instantaneous. It's going to take time for the pain to filter in to our economy. So you have time. But like I said, if you're a long-term investor, how I would look at it is like, okay, this is an opportunity. If the markets absolutely tank for a year because of tariffs and a bear market, well, those are some cheap prices, and those are stocks, if they've got good fundamentals, those are stocks that will recover on the other side. So if you're buying them at a huge discount, well, that means once we're past all these tariffs, we're past the next bear market, things are going to look a lot better. Things will look, things will go back into the green. And for people who bought things when they were at the bottom of the barrel, you're going to have some nice looking, you're going to have a nice looking portfolio from that. So, you don't want to get into a situation where you get into panic mode and worry that, oh my God, everything is going, to hell in a handbag, because it's not. We've had worse. The stock market survives things. The stock market survived the housing crisis back in 2008, but a lot of people didn't. A lot of people panicked and sold. So there were a lot of losers, But those people who didn't sell and who waited it out, they were fine. Those people who invested when things were at the worst, they're absolutely fine. So when investors are running away from the market, and the crud is hitting the fan, that's when you want to be in there buying. That's when Warren Buffett is in there buying. Big names in investing, they know how to play this game. And you have to really taking control of your emotions is the big thing, because when things are falling, when it looks like, you're like, you see your money disappearing, getting smaller and smaller, that creates, well, it goes back to caveman day, right? In a caveman day, if you saw like a woolly mammoth, you go into fight and flight because you needed that to survive. That was an evolutionary design that we have that keeps us alive. Well, you still have it. So when you see stuff like that and you see the market doing incredible things and you see your money getting smaller, your instinct, your evolutionary instinct is going to be to, holy crap, I got to get out of here. I gotta run. And a lot of people do that, and they take those losses, they run, and then eventually when the market looks better, they start feeling good, and they might step back into investing again. But holy banana bread, they've lost they realized a lot of losses. And it's going to take them a long time to make up that money, because, if you're only investing when the market is good, most of the, whenever the market's not good, you're going to be in bad shape. All right. Vic says, now Trudeau looking good. He's giving good speeches. That's all I'm saying. He's giving good speeches. It's still time for him to go, though. Tim says, bought $500 of Rogers Sugar today. Nice. Now Rogers Sugar, they're currently expanding. There's a big demand for sugar, so I do like them. Lisa's in the house with a hello. Tim says, the Liberals also said they would reduce immigration, and they've already missed those targets. It was a lie, just like the get rid of carbon tax lie. Yeah. I mean, you got to keep in mind too, though. If we get rid of immigration, like if we lower it too much, and it's a kind of a delicate balance. If you lower immigration too much, it can really impact, our GDP big time, because you got to realize Canada, also America, we have a fertility rate that is lower than what we need to sustain our population. So we definitely need a certain level of immigration. What we really need, though, is we absolutely need quality immigrants. So if we get immigrants coming in who are well-skilled, especially in areas where we have a shortage of people, so for example, healthcare, also a lot of labor type stuff, as in, as in the trades, like carpenters, things like that, bring them in and streamline the way for them to get their credentials. Because there's no point bringing a doctor in from another country and then they have to basically ask you if you want fries with that. That doesn't make sense. get them recertified as quickly as possible, streamline that so that they can be providing healthcare, especially when we have so many people without even primary care doctors. All right. Chad says Vic JT will never look good. Lisa says, my understanding is that Carney is not getting rid of the carbon tax, but rather shifting it to the industrial side of things, which will still affect the consumer. Yeah, there's something like that. I haven't seen the full documentation on how it's going to work, but I think he's sort of, he's moving it from front facing to kind of in the back. But yeah, we'll have to see how it works. Let's see. Vic says, bought FIS on the dip. Yep, no idea what it is. Listed on the NASDAQ. FIS. Vic, I don't know what FIS is either. Let's find out. Let's find out together. What is FIS? All right. Here we go. Oh, Fidelity National Information Services. Interesting. Oh, yeah, here's your big dip. I see. Let's see here. Let's see. They provide core and payment processing services to banks, but its business expanded over time by acquiring SunGard. Okay. I like the sounds of what they do. That has some promise. That has some promise, Vic. Let's see here. They 66% debt to equity, 8% return on equity, return on assets. Well, assets in financials are going to be low. That's actually pretty good for somebody in that area. Yeah, they could be interesting. That might be a good buy. Let's see. Tim says carbon tax to quadruple in the spring, much worse than tariffs. Canadians might learn the hard way. Yeah. I mean, with tariffs coming, I think they can't hike. They've got to suspend that hike. They really, really do. I hope Mark Carney, when he wins the leadership here in March, I hope he at least figures that out. At least kill the increase. Let's see. Vic says TD was shooting up a bit and now down. We got Bleak in the house. Hello, Bleak. Let's see. Trade desk down huge. Roku says, I would like to see the tax lifted on restaurant meals permanently, but leave on restaurant booze. Yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Who can afford to eat at restaurants these days? Yeah, I get you. I hear you. Let's see. Jersky is in the house with a good afternoon. $40 for a steak. Wow. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that you could have a steak meal for like maybe $24 to $30. It's going up. Let's see. What are some of the recommended ETF to invest in the bear market, not including bond ETF? Kenneth, I think you're going to like the video that is dropping. When is it? What is today? Wednesday. On Friday. Friday. The next video is actually, if I could only invest in 5 ETFs, what would they be? And they're basically the ones that you're asking about right now. So check out that video on Friday. I'm not going to spoil it too much. I will point out, though, that the video version coming, the first one, is we're talking about dividend growth ETF. So, we're looking at your hold forever core ones. They're not going to be your big income ones. And, I can always do that video later for sure. Let's see. And leave still hungry. There you go. Chad mentions VDY, and spoiler alert. There we go. Spoiler alert. VDY might be on that list that's coming out on Friday. Vic says, is SPLG the lowest MER SP 500 ETF? I don't know what the actual management expense ratio is on that. I know VFV is pretty low, but let's see, 0.09. Yeah, VFV is 0.09. Vic says it's 0.02. So that could absolutely be. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. All right. Verena says, do you think we will see a bull market in crypto or before we will live a bear market? It's interesting. like, I still think like we haven't, like, crypto is still doing okay. We're still floating, we've been hanging out high. I think we're going to have one more run before we go into a crypto winter. So, I know initially last year I was calling about 120K and we got close, but well, not that close. I mean, about 10K off. We got about what, 109, I think. I still think there is that potential to get up to 120, and I did revise that to 130. I think they can do that, but we'll have to sort of see how this is all going to roll out. Now, some people may turn to things like Bitcoin when they get worried about their money sitting in the market, or just sitting in cash, especially once the tariffs start hitting. So it'll be interesting to see the tariff effect on that. Chad says, then lose on currency conversion. Vic says, my first time trying to buy TDD after hours. Oh, wow. I am, where the heck? Just a second here. Oh, there we are. I was like, my scroll got out of whack, so I had to find out where I was. You give me hope, so thank you. I try. It's just that I will say this, AA, when you go on to, and I see this all the time, when I go onto YouTube and, I'm a financial YouTuber, but there's a lot of them out there that are predicting doom and gloom like crazy. I'll predict doom if I see doom, but I'm not going to predict it for clicks. I'm not going to sit here and say the end is here, folks, the end is here, but maybe it's not. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be like, when the end is here, I'll be like, things are not looking good, guys. We'll go with that. But I think right now we're fine. We're fine. Let's see. Lisa says, I'm looking forward to a major correction. I have cash to deploy. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Chad says, 2023 was a great time to buy as my friends were panicking and selling at a loss. I was buying. Yeah, absolutely. Trevor is in the house. Lovely. Gotta love it. Let's see. 3 people you never trust: politicians, lawyers, and tow truck drivers. Yeah. I would agree. Let's see. Ian, somehow I'm only down 1/3% today. Thought it would be more. Well, the market has recovered for the most part today. We had a bad start, but we almost got back to the green. David says, I'm doubling down and buying more of my favorite stock, Manulife. What do you think? I love Manulife Financial. They're definitely one of our to me, out of all of our insurance companies, they're my favorite. And they also are the only insurance company in Canada that does have some Chinese, has access to the Chinese market. And that's not a bad thing at all. All right. Rory says, I think if CNR is affected by the steel and aluminum tariffs, could they make up profits by new contracts transferring oil and gas out east, since Enbridge goes into the U.S. to get to Quebec? Yeah, they'll have to find new markets for sure. Now, keep in mind that so CNR and CP, they both carry a lot of exports into the United States. It's the cheapest way to go. Now, initially, as people are paying more for products, that doesn't matter. That doesn't affect them per se. When it does start to affect them is when all of a sudden companies in the US start ordering less stuff because of the prices, or they find alternate American sources instead of using Canadian sources. So then they could lose a little bit on the bottom line there, but they will certainly, like, if we got to a point where they're starting to transport oil across the country, that would be fantastic. That would help make up some of that money. But now keep in mind too, they also have a lot of business in the United States as well, where they're transporting from one part of the United States to another. That's not going to be impacted by any of the tariffs, or any kind of cross country, or bringing like CNR, them pulling the minerals out of the north and bringing them down south. That's not going to be impacted as well. There will be some, but both of these railroads, they are recession proof. They're not tariff proof, but they'll be fine on the other side. Absolutely. And if they do go down, that's a fantastic buying opportunity for sure. Ian says, I remember asking your thoughts on a REIT a while ago, Hoya Capital. You have time to look at it. Let me just see here. I think, give me one moment. That's not what I was looking for here. All right, give me a second. I thought I actually think I put some notes down on that one there, Ian. Let me see here. Hoya Capital, Hoya Capital. Oh, no, it wasn't Hoya. Another one that you had asked me about was BlackRock, so capital TCPC. So I have notes on that. But Hoya Capital, let's go take a look at them. HOYA, Hoya Capital. Here we go. Hoya Capital High Dividend Yield ETF. So REIT. Okay. And it's kind of funny. Like I see it and I always think that, oh, are we looking at a REIT? But it's, it's misspelled. So it's not. All right. Let's take a look. A couple things I wanted to see right now. They got a pretty good dividend yield. It's like 10.023%. They've had their highs and their lows, but it almost looks to me, and let me just take a look here. All right, so since they came out, they've gone down, but they've been flat for a bit. So that's interesting. Definitely interesting there. Let me just take a look here and see. It's an ETF, so I'm not going to have very much data over here that I can actually use. It's interesting. It's interesting. It doesn't excite me. The fact that it has been moving down since it came out, other than, of course, we did have a little bit of improvement in the beginning, in the middle there. Let's go back to this here. We had this little bit in here. That was nice. But if it maintains this flatness, that's pretty good for an income, because that's not too shabby that way. So I have a feeling that it might be good for income, but I don't think it's going to be good for growth. I think it might be able to maintain that income. You might get little things like this, but I have a feeling it's going to be a flat stock for the most part. Vic says, bought some HCRE today. Nice. Kenneth says, thank you for looking forward to your, thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. Looking forward to your Friday's video. I did some research, but looking at 2022, many ETFs were down, but I cannot find a single ETF that is positive. Dividend growing ETF are negative. We have to realize, though, most of your stable ETFs, they're tracking markets. And if we go into a bear market, well, the markets are down, and so will the ETFs. So I'll give you an example here. Let's go to we'll go to VDY, since we mentioned VDY. All right, so here is VDY. So the Vanguard FTSE Canadian High Dividend Yield Index. All right, and we're going to go for 5 years. All right, so here's the pandemic, this little V down at the bottom. But we were in a bull market after. And you can see, look, this loves bull markets. It loves it. We had, big movement. So from like $28 up to like 47. That's great. That's fantastic. Then we had a bear market and it went down. So they are going to go down. But now bull market, things are going back up again. So here's what I usually will say is, let's do it this way. I'm going to Command Shift 4. I'm going to copy this. There we go. And we're going to go to the whiteboard. Upload a file. And just a second, it's a screenshot, so we'll upload it. Here we go. Perfect. All right. So this is our VFV. As you can see, here is your, I want my drawing. All right. So here is your bull market, and then we have a bear market. So the smart buyer, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be buying, so look at it like this. You're buying as you're coming up. All right. And maybe you bought all-time high. Oh, boy. But as you start coming down, some people will get scared and they'll start to sell. But here's the thing. If you continue buying, so basically, your dollar cost averaging as you go, and now we'll just put these in as you're going up. What you're doing here is the adjusted cost base that has been building. So your adjusted cost base is going up. Well, now you've got a chance you're pulling that adjusted cost base down. So you end up getting a fair value. So when you actually look long term, this is one line. I'm going to change colors here for this. We'll go with a green. All right, there we go. So what you're going to notice is that you're going to get a fair price. So when you average it out, you're going to be somewhere like around that line. And, it's always going up. So you have to kind of look at it that way. So if you're sort of thinking, I only want to invest in something that is going up when the market's going down, well, there is something that goes up when the market goes down. It's called an inverse ETF. So INV. I'll just put INV. So an inverse ETF will do that. So for example, with oil, there is an inverse ETF, HOD. So if oil's going up, HOD is going down. But if oil's going down, HOD is going up. It's going in the exact opposite direction. So there are ways to do that. And that would be, you'd have to I think, what is it? I think it's H something U is there's an inverse for the S&P 500. So if you're going into a bear market, you could do that. Now that's a lot of work. If you're looking at a long-term investment, I would be saying, okay, you know what? Just dollar cost average your way through. You're going to be fine all the way through. You will get a fair price. That's fantastic. And some people, what they will do, Kenneth, is they will do both dollar cost averaging, and they might also, we'll go with purple, they might also keep some money on the side that they might say, oh, maybe they buy a little bit of extra in here, and maybe they're buying extra in here. When the market's down, they might be buying extra. They might be, looking for those big drops and buying in it as well. Most of your money is going to be the red dots, though, your dollar cost average, but you might put aside some money and say, I'm going to save this for a buy the dip opportunity. And what you might be able to do with that is maybe you'll still have the same line, but you might have it a little bit lower overall in the end. It's not going to make a big difference, but it will make a tiny bit. So you could certainly do that for as well. All right. A says, how do you buy after hours? Which brokers allow that? Wealthsimple does. Oh, guys, another huge breaking piece of news this week. Questrade has scrapped their commissions. So Questrade is now commission free. This is fantastic because this is another option if you want a commission free broker. And what's nice about Questrade is you can do Norbert's Gambit on it. So I'm gonna get myself set up on Questrade, and I'll get you guys an affiliate code for that pretty darn soon. But that's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. All right. Vic says, let's see, Dutch Bros, Upstart flying high, but TTD. Reddit getting hammered. All right, we'll leave that. What do you think of HIM's stock? There was some recent controversy with their Super Bowl ad. Let's take a look here. All right. So Hims and Her Health. I didn't actually see their Super Bowl ad, but doesn't seem to have hurt them because they seem to be on the move this week. But let's take a look here. Look at this. This is not. I can't complain about that. I can't complain at all. Let's see here. Just going to see if we got a little bit more data on them here. Ooh, I love this. 3% debt to equity. So they've got no debt. They've got a really high return on equity. And that's not bad. That's not bad. I think I like them. There's nothing I dislike about the stock. They have enough positives that would be a stock that I would certainly go into and do some more digging for sure. But yeah, not a bad stock. Jordan says, good afternoon, Candace. Hope you're well. The snow has set in Sarnia. Oh yes. So I'm located in Ottawa, and we're getting 35, 40 centimeters of snow tonight into tomorrow. And then we're getting another 30 to 40 on the weekend. So we're going to have a lot of snow. There'll be a lot of snow, but it won't slow me down. It won't slow me down. JJ is in the house with a hello, gang. Let's see. Yes, I love the new beaver icon. So cute. Yes. So the channel members now have these little beavers. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Kind of cool. I like them. I like them. I think actually it was JJ's idea. So JJ has to like them. Ian says, move $500 into my RRSP and bought some RMAX today. Pays over 9% annually. Nice. To the whiteboard, Robin. Absolutely. We should call it to the bat whiteboard, or the bat board, maybe. Let's see. AAW. Yeah, well, simple. Absolutely. All right. Vic says, after hours, filled my TDD, dropped after I bought it. Wouldn't you know? Let's see. Kevin Cass says, just be careful with Wealthsimple after hours as it is just American stock. Exactly. I sold thinking I had a profit, but lost money on the dollar exchange. Our dollar went down in the 2 hours I held that stock. Yeah, absolutely. And what I will normally recommend is if you're going to do a lot of American trading, you want an American account. So for example, I know Questrade, you can do it over there. You can do it on Wealthsimple. You can also do it on National Bank, where you can hold an American account and basically you move the money in. You take your currency conversion hit, then you just keep that money there in US. So whatever happens on the Canadian side, like if the Canadian dollar falls, who cares? You're not getting that crazy conversion. But when you're holding American stocks in a Canadian account and you're getting conversion back and forth, it kills you. It kills you completely. All right. And also with National Bank and Questrade, you can do the Norbit Gambit to move the money a lot cheaper than with Wealthsimple. Vic says, I got to premium status on Wealthsimple, allows me to keep USD. Yeah, if you have $100,000 in Wealthsimple, they will give you their pro version for free. So you can hold your US account absolutely free. However, if you don't have 100,000 over on Wealthsimple, you're paying, I believe it's $10 a month for that to have an American account. And that's crazy. Actually, Brandon Beavis did a video where he compared paying the $10 to, basically to how much you would pay if you were only doing a few things. And it turned out to be a bit of a ripoff unless you're doing a lot of American stuff. All right. Kevin Cass must remember to fund American account. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. We need a beaver icon for 3+ years as well. We will once we have somebody at that point. Basically, I made them up to the point where we have. I think right now we have people between 2 and 3 years. But we got about 6-7 months before somebody hits the 3-year mark. And I will have a 3+ year mark for that point. Rory says, is it still a good idea to DCA into volatile oil holdings? I noticed CNQ dropped a bit. Looking to add to this company. I love CNQ. CNQ, I think they're gold. Well, I guess liquid gold. But yeah, CNQ is definitely a good one. The only thing I would be careful with once again is oil is one of these ones. Like, I love covered calls. I love the income on things, but sometimes with oil, because if you have a geopolitical black swan event, all of a sudden oil can shoot up really fast. If you're holding a covered call, you are going to lose some of that upside potential. So normally what I would do is if you are interested, in milking out oil, hold some regular stocks, things like CNQ, or if you want ETF, something like XEG. But then you could have, have some, and then you could have some of some covered calls on the side as well. But it really looks at what you're looking at. Let's see. Max says Kingston's looking around 25 centimeters of snow. Good old Kingston. I do like Kingston. I used to actually when I was a teenager, we lived there for about a year. So I remember it a little bit out towards. I think if you know where Bay Ridge is, I lived in that area of Kingston, but used to love downtown. Used to have like Montreal Street, Princess Street. I remember a little bit. Rory says, we have -30 degrees here. Nice and sunny. Cool. Nothing. Yeah, it's about, I think it's about maybe minus 20 here. AA says, I think it's minus 20 degrees Celsius here in Montreal. Max says Bay Ridge Drive. Well, I was actually thinking about, I used to go to Bay Ridge High School. So I lived in the subdivisions around Bay Ridge High School. Hopefully that's still up, still running. But that was the high school. I did a year there. I think grade 9 or 10, something. Yeah, I think it was probably, I think it was grade 10 actually. Minus 30 degrees, sunny in Saskatchewan. Yeah. Well, right now, I mean, I got blue sky out there. Like the snow's not hitting until about I think it's going to start as flurries around 7, and then it's going to basically from there it's going to get worse. In the middle of the night, it's going to be dropping at about 5 centimeters an hour, and then it's going to taper out tomorrow afternoon around noon. So. Ian, nobody likes a smart ass. Plus 22. Yeah, you win. Ian wins. Ian wins. I would love plus 22 for sure. That would be absolutely cool. All right, guys, we're getting a little bit late. If you got your last minute questions, get them on in. Get them on in. I'm gonna have some coffee while you guys are composing. Doesn't mean that we're leaving right away. Sometimes I'll ask for the last minute questions and we still end up going like another hour. It depends. Ian is talking Celsius, Rory, not Fahrenheit. He's down in Colombia. So probably have better coffee than me right now, Ian. Oh, very good. Jersky says, that's awesome, Ian. Ooh, and we got ourselves, change that up to 6. We got ourselves a super sticker from Kiev and Kaz. Kiev and Kaz is now we'll go with this one, is our GOAT. So thank you, Kiev and Kaz. I always love playing the GOATs. I might need to make a 4th one. We got 3 of them so far. So that is always fantastic. Still bullish on REITs. Yes, but I'll tell you, it's hard. It is hard. Here's the thing, and REITs, they thrive when the interest rates are going down, and we've gotten that. They're pretty much resistant to tariffs, so that's a good sign as well. But everything is going to get hit collaterally as the economy suffers. So I'm still bullish on REITs. I'm probably slowing down how fast I add them to them at this point, just because I'm looking at things that are a little bit more defensive. Or I'm also thinking about holding on to some stuff for a little bit longer to see what happens, especially on the cash position. Because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of good deals. And like I loved the first Monday of this month, I was up and ready to buy at the crack of the bell. And there were great deals. But they did not last long. So yeah, there's definitely it's going to be interesting. Let's see. JJ says, for the swag counter, does the one that reached the 25 counter get the swag, or is it a draw? It's going to be a draw. No, everybody gets to partake. What we'll do is, when we get to the 25, obviously what we'll do is the last live stream of February, as long as we got to 25 before or during that stream, then we'll do the giveaway for the swag. So you gotta love it. Are you still holding HMM.A? I love it. I love HMM. I'm still big on Hammond. Now, you could argue that smaller cap companies, could suffer a little bit more when it comes to the tariffs. However, when it comes to Hammond, so both of them, Hammond Power Solutions and Hammond Manufacturing, they're making a lot of money from India. They're both involved heavily in a lot of infrastructure builds over in India. Yeah, they have some US stuff, but here's the thing. They're not moving, they're not moving stuff across borders per se. The stuff they're building in the US, they can source locally. any materials that they do need. So they shouldn't be super impacted. So I am liking Hammond, and let's take a look. I haven't looked at either of them this week here. HMM.A. We'll go first of all to Hammond Manufacturing. Today, yeah, they're up what, 2%? 2% today. But you can see, we're gonna go to the 3-year. You can see, like, we had this incredible time, but they haven't really fallen if you sort of, if you ignore an aberration. And this is kind of one of these things. A lot of times when people are looking at stocks, as soon as they see something like this, they're like, oh my God, we're way down. Right. But this is an aberration. So sometimes a stock will move and, it's an over move. So they have to kind of correct. So when you look at this, if you really look at it from this perspective, they're doing fine. They're doing fine, sitting up here at 9.95. Now in the challenge, let me just take a gander here. Yeah, my adjusted cost base in the challenge is 887. So, I'm still happy with them. Now, their bigger company, HPS.A. All right, sitting up here. Now they're down a little bit today. So it's kind of interesting. One's up, the other is down. But once again, we sort of look at this. Let's look at the 3-year. You can sort of see they had that same little peak and they've done fine. Now they have come down a little bit. They have, but this is a company that's in a really good position. They have more customers than they can actually handle. So there's people lined up waiting for their services. That's a really good place to be. So I have no problem. And if they come down, now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, ooh, I should be buying some of these. I know I've got my stuff on HMM.A, but that's a really nice price. So yeah, I'm still pretty darn bullish on them for sure. Okay. Oh, the whistles. Yeah. No. And it's kind of that thing. Like, I mean, imagine going back to what JJ was saying about the swag. I was just had a thought about it. Could you imagine if one person did all 24 of the supers, and then somebody who's never really done a super before just jumps in at the last minute and does the last one and they get it? That's one of the reasons that it's just, to me, it's it's fair. It's like, we'll do that. And I think you don't even have to be, I don't even think you have to be a sub. I think as long as, because I think I'll have to use one of those things where it picks a comment. So I think you'll have to make a comment to be picked. But we'll do it towards the end of that last stream, and we'll get it done. We'll get it done, and we'll let whoever wins pick what they want. So, the challenge on me is I've got to make a bunch more because right now we have that Trump cup, but I kind of like the. I kind of almost want to make a cup of that of the Trump thing I used in today's thing, Stop the Steal one. I thought that when I came up with that idea, I was just like, oh my God, this is brilliant. So I loved it. Rory says, can you tell I have a bias for oil gas? I watch Eric Nuttall from 9 Point Partners. I'm pro Alberta, Saskatchewan Energy. Yeah. There's nothing wrong. I mean, you could call it having a bias for oil and gas. I call it being a good investor. I mean, it's one of the backbones of the Canadian economy. So it's hard not to have a bias. I think it's hard not to have a bias for oil and gas. Now, keep in mind, some people will say, well, what about saving the planet? What about renewables? Well, a lot of the oil and gas companies, they're on that same page. You take, they're not just looking for oil. There's also natural gas, and a lot of them are dabbling into renewables, especially if you start to move out of the energy and into the utilities. Holy banana bread, they're really looking into renewables. Companies like Fortis, Enbridge, they are out there, looking at wind farms, solar, you name it. And then we got especially with Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan has, of course, has some of the best uranium in the world, and Canada is one of the better countries when it comes to just overall nuclear technology. Things like with the CANDU reactor and the SMRs, so the small modular reactors. this is big stuff. I mean, in a lot of countries, like I think we did a story just recently that Canada signed a deal with Poland to help them get off coal with and replace it with nuclear. So, there's deals there going for the SMRs, as well as I think they're also building a full scale one as well. So, it's pretty cool. It is absolutely pretty cool. Shouldn't people who do supers be eligible for the draw? Otherwise, it's not really fair, is it? Well, I think when it comes to, basically, we can't talk about fairness. We actually have to talk about YouTube. So when it comes to any kind of contest on YouTube, I cannot make it so that to be eligible, you have to give a super. I can have super as a criteria. If we hit the supers, then we have a contest, but it has to be open to everyone. Otherwise, I'm not allowed to do it according to the terms and conditions of YouTube. And I can't say that it has to be sub only either, because then that's kind of like saying, oh, well, it's like I'm paying people to become subs. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of rules when it comes to contests. But that's the reason that I can't sort of say, oh, here the kitten just came in dragging a wand. Basically one of those wands with the thing. She does that. She does that every so often. Ian says, I looked at my portfolio today. ENCL, ENB, and WCP together make up around 25% of my holdings. Might have to stop buying energy stocks. That's a lot of energy. But, if there is a potential. True. I was going to say Trudeau. Trump gave this big deadline to Gaza with the return of the hostages. Saturday at noon, they have to return all of them or they'll be held to pay. That's Trump's words. If he actually follows through on that and creates a huge mess in the Gulf, the Middle East, we could see some interesting moves on oil. So we could have very interesting beginning of the week on oil, depending on what happens on the weekend. And so far, ever since Trump has come into power, we have not had an uneventful weekend. I think the days of uneventful weekends are they're done. They're done. Rory says, yeah, I own WCP, sold it at a profit. I still own CNQ and Enbridge. Yes, I do like CNQ a lot. And Enbridge. Enbridge is fantastic. But CNQ, I think CNQ has just incredible potential. Once we get on the other side of all of these tariffs and stuff, I think CNQ will be a superstar. Chad says, can you look at Next Gen, NXE? Yes, I can. I can do that. NXE. Here we go. So Next Gen Energy, they're having a good day. They're up 2.22%. Let's zoom out to the 3-year. Yeah, this is not bad. This is not bad. Overall, their trend is up. And you could, even if you're looking at it long term, you could sort of say, look, higher highs, higher highs. It's not bad. It's not bad. Let's see what we got down here. All right, so we don't have any kind of dividend. And let's go into their key data. This is good. Right over here, their debt to equity, 35%. So that's not too bad. And this is pretty healthy, a 15.98% return on equity, return on assets, 11.50%. Yeah. I don't see anything I don't like about both them. Now, let's just let's go back once again to the overview and just take a quick gander here. So mineral exploration, yeah, design, acquisition, exploration, valuation of uranium. Oh, there we go. There we go, uranium. And as I said, uranium is going to be, it's the new gold, except for it glows in the dark. But it's big. Years ago, we had too much uranium on the market. So uranium has had basically an undervalued price for a long time, but that has changed. That has changed big time. So it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. Next Gen. I might have to add some of those. I am liking that one. Let's see. Been watching it for a year now. Dropped below $9, $8.84. Should a bot missed out again? Oh no. Ron says, looking at a Niagara wine stock, but learned that young adults are drinking less alcohol. What do you think? It is true. It is true. Yeah, I have a feeling like there's still a lot of older people that are going to continue to drink for a long time. So I don't think that's going to impact it too much. But yeah, I have heard statistics that younger people are drinking less alcohol overall. So I I wouldn't probably look into it for a long-term stock, but maybe it'll be fine in the short to mid-term. But yeah. Let's see, checked again. It's only 12%. Don't know where I got 25% from. Might be 25% in my non-registered. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Chat says, I think CCO. Ooh, yeah, bought part of them and exploring in their backyard. Now, CCO is another company, guys. If you guys have not looked at Cameco, they are pretty darn good. Let's go to their 3-year. And once again, uranium. I cannot stress enough. Nuclear investing is going to be a really valid energy source. So I like it. I like it. So yeah, definitely check it out. All right. Whew. All right, guys. I think we're pretty much to the end of this one. You guys have all been awesome. Let me just pull this all down. You guys have been awesome. We'll be back here again on, well, we only got one super this time, so we're going to be back on Sunday for this week. But we got another video coming out, as I said, on Friday. And in regards to Evolve, they wanted me to refilm another part again because apparently it took them a little bit longer than they thought to get through the last one I sent them. So as a result, they wanted updated information. So I did that today. Refilmed and re-edited the part that they wanted, sent that to them. Hopefully that gets out really, really, really soon. Yeah, guys, on your way out, be sure to hit the good old like button because it does help the algorithm. Plus, even though we end the stream, it does help to push it out to people who still want to watch it because a lot of people are going to watch this tonight and tomorrow. To be honest, probably people who are snowed in Ontario. This might be their only fun. Let's see. Haha, Mary like clockwork. She's like a good pair of air mitts today. We had her at the beginning and the end, so gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right, guys, this has been another great stream. I will see you guys again really soon. If you're in the East, bundle up. And in the words of Frankie McDonald, order your Chinese food and your pizza and your Coke and your Pepsis and all of that stuff because we get a storm coming. All right, everybody. Oh, actually, just funny little story. In case you guys don't know, Frankie McDonald is actually a friend of the channel. So he knows me. He knows me. He's actually been on the channel once. But anyway, until next time, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye, everybody.